about you, Tavia? What things that echoed for you?
My note would be to enjoy what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is not something you have to do. Nobody is saying you have to go to theater school. Nobody's saying you have to pick up weapons and learn how to fight with them for a theatrical purpose. Nobody's saying any of that. So it's like, why are you doing this? And why is this so stressful? Because I find a lot of people, especially in a university program, myself included, is just so focused on like the grades and being perfect and getting it right that they forget that they're here because they want to be, and they're here because it's something that they enjoy doing. And then they forget to enjoy it while they're there.
Yeah.
It's like giving yourself permission to have fun.
Yeah.
I was going to say the danger of when a calling becomes an obligation, right?
Yeah.
You're called to do this, and then all of a sudden you feel like you can't question, you know what I mean? Because and I'm not even saying get out, right, or stop doing what you're doing, but I did notice in many instances, both within classes you attended as participants or assisting, you could see people kind of went, I've made my decision and I'm going to keep on this despite the fact that I'm really hurting, like I'm really failing here. And you would agree that all failing is prepping yourself up to learn, right? Like that's, you know, so failure is such an ugly word for such a positive ultimate outcome, provided you continue and work from it.
It's a part of life.
Yeah.
People keep forgetting. Yeah.
And not to dwell too long on comedy, but do you want to give a ratio on how much material you sort of worked up that you went, not today, you know, and you went, I'm not using this?
I mean, so many where I would have an idea, write something up, and I pitch it, and then I sit there, I'm like, nah, this isn't working. And actually staying up at night thinking it should have worked. Or the ones that we go through and create and shoot come out fine. And that's the part that any artist will hate. Yeah, I see your cringe. Just that.
Well, it's that good for you.
Yeah, it's
ouch.
Good job. That was I chuckled a bit, and you're like, yeah, and it's that thing where if you want to be an artist, you have to kind of welcome these dark, unfortunate moments of just like, ta-da, and then that's it.
And I find to make it more positive, how do you get where you want to go without making the first offer, right? I think of the two of you as very successful. You get opportunities to audition, you gain the auditions, but even despite what I said, where I feel the two of you you are successful. You probably don't have 100% batting average of every single thing you're seeing for is cast. And many of the time it's not in your hands at all. They might really like you, but I know for a fact that there's been projects that simply didn't happen. Right? They would have, could have, but didn't, you know? So I would love to use that awareness of that, but pitch it and have you talk about, you gotta, be it in rehearsal or in final presentations of a scene or performance, and things didn't quite go the way you wanted. Talk about that. What's that experience for you, and do you have suggestions for people who are in the midst of it now? Not now, of course, because no one can touch each other, but someday we'll be back and fighting, I promise. Right?
Yeah. Do you want to go first, since I went first a lot?
A lot of experience about things not going the way I imagined them to go. Yeah, it's definitely really hard, and it's a twofold thing, because one, you have to definitely acknowledge and respect what you're feeling, which is like the sadness, the disappointment, the failure, and like actually be okay with feeling that and taking the time that you need to feel that. Because every loss, big or small, rehearsal, gig, it still takes a toll on you. And if you just ignore that, then it builds up to an unhealthy point where you're just eventually going to explode, quit, or just keep making the same wrong choices. So I think the most important thing is to acknowledge those feelings, let them happen. So then you have the headspace available to actually analyze, was it as bad as I thought it was? What could I have done anything to have prevented this from happening? Or is this just a crazy random happenstance that I have no power over? And it can be one or a version of all three of them, and just being able to be in the mind space to properly analyze stuff is important.
I love you putting voice to like the harsh personal judge. Frequently much harsher than the external judge of the audience or the adjudicator or whatever it happens to be. That's brilliant. What do you want to add to that, Julius?
I would say you have to treat it like loss of anything. Even if you compare yourself with others and you're like, well, they're doing better or they're doing worse. I think it's important that you are not alone, and that a lot of the time you need to find people who you can talk to, who you can share this heartache with, or just someone who can just be there for you. When it comes to like missed opportunities or things that just didn't go our way, that's part of the job. I mean, I feel like we're the only industry where you wake up and you get like rejected on a daily basis. It's that guy be like, hello, no, okay. Oh god. Yeah. And so as much as people are like, you just have to keep moving, you can't like sit and think about it, I'm like, I think you should sit and think about it. I think it doesn't hurt to look into the negatives and then sit there and enough until you realize it's not that bad. Right. It's like we're so afraid to face ourselves. And you know, like I'm not ashamed to talk that I see therapy, and I think it's helped and done wonders for me because of the fact that I can talk out loud about anything that's been bubbling up inside me, and I don't need to lash out on my partner or my friends because of it. Yeah.
And of course, it's both of you were talking, like having friends is really important, but interesting that you're talking about therapy because of course, and I don't mean this again as accusatory, but your friends have agendas, right? They want to be liked, they want to help you, but they don't have the skills or the tools, and it's inappropriate to expect their help the way that obviously a professional can. So I think that's really mature and intelligent to share that note. And I would agree 100%. Let me throw just an open one to you. Is there something that you really have always wanted to talk about, be it about stage combat, getting into stage combat, or things you'd like to see from stage combat that you'd like to share?
I think it's fascinating because for me, looking at how stage combat and the structure of it built, I feel like everybody should learn it, you know, just like a safe way to approach violence without needing to actually just go and fight someone, you know, like where you can look at these things. You can look at these things as necessary tools of just understanding how humans have conflict, you know, because a lot of the classes I have with you, it's looking into that. But I'm always like, this is so niche. I would love if like more people would come and see this and be like, wow, I never realized the artistry of this. Like people who aren't even actors, like mainstreaming, it would be something I'd love to see, I think. Yeah.
It's a challenge, right? Because all of us get a bit into our, a bit, you know, focused in on our own little part of it, the own world.
Yeah.
Mainstreaming, you say. And what do you say, Tavia? You always wanted to speak about. And by the way, we'll probably run out of time in this conversation. That just means I have to bring you back and give you more time to think about it, you know?
I think one thing that I would love to see from like stage combat and kind of like rapier wit in specific is a performance team, if you will. It's because you're like Rapier Wit is really, really good at the instruction and the teaching format, where it's like we're really good at giving classes, doing certification courses, guiding people into a teaching stream of apprenticeship, journeymanship, and then finally becoming instructors themselves. I would love it if there was like a performance section of Rapier Wit, where you had someone who was like the director of performance, and they found like you'd audition for this after you completed your advanced actor combatant, and you're in and you're like part of the troupe.
Like a Cirque du Soleil
like,
kind of thing.
Yeah. And like I see all those like old images of like what you had with like Riot Act and the Rude Mechanicals, and I'm like, oh, I wish we still had that sort of thing without me having to create it myself.
Yeah.
I guess,
like, I'd love to just be part of like
you put the finger on it.
Yeah.
It's about where does one put, and this isn't an excuse, this is an observation. It's true, where does one put one's time and effort? Because to make a decision, and by the way, goes back to actually everything we've been talking about. Once you decide on one thing, the decision's made, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you can't go back and make the other decision now. It's not pick your own adventure all the time, right? Like you've made the decision. So, but I like your suggestion, and believe me, I have thought about that. My guess is right now with the weirdness of this world, and when are we going to get back to performance and stuff like that? I don't think you're alone, and I think there's a few people who would love to see something like that. So it's something on my back burner to think about. And you certainly have an excellent community of performers who deserve to be seen.
We do.
And it goes to you about wanting more people out of the niche to be able to see what we do. Years ago, we did.
I think it connects both ways. Look at us,
like
just having this performance
years ago, of course, under Todd Campbell and because he was really the main producer, was Duel of Ages, which was a great opportunity for everyone to see it. The effort to create it, though, was high, right? Because we had lots of directors and writers involved and performers. And it's a great idea. We'll just have to figure out how to make it happen. Yeah. Any last little bit before I call you back for the next one? Last bit of, be it about the situation. Now, do you want to, how about an optimistic, what do you think is coming up for you two? Or as individuals?
Well, like for the both of us, I think everything, just it's really a gift to find. Actually, through Rapier Wit, Tavia, like we bumped into each other on a Monday drop-in class, and now we've been together for over a year, and it's just really, I think, testament when you can find someone who's also in the industry and working with you, and it goes hand in hand. And it's like, perfect fight partners in a way. So yeah, that's the positive, I think. It's
nice that you basically, in a nutshell, said you don't have to be competitors.
Yeah,
you can be partners.
For the most part.
Awesome. And I used to joke about if this whole stage combat thing doesn't work, I might want to think about creating a meeting app, because people really like each other when they, people who fight together stay together, as it were, right?
Yeah,
which I think is
very true.
Yeah. And you were talking about the show you're in. It's been renewed, right? You're doing more Sticky Sister, right?
No, not that I know of.
Oh, I thought there was more coming. I didn't mean.
There was. What I posted was my final episode came out.
Nice.
Which you can see on either YouTube or tvokids.com or pbskids.com.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm just so happy to see you appear in so many different venues, right? The video game venues, the television, the animation, because it does mean there's a value to what we do that goes well beyond a singular place. And it's always been my belief that it's about giving you more tools, internal tools and art tools. So that's why I wanted to talk to you about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank you so much for coming out. We're going to do this again because I'm going to have more questions for you. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I will see. Well, I'll see you very, very soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Take care, Dan.